So I got involved in CAP when about 5 years ago I was working with a pool of social entrepreneurs, and all of them were struggling to get and understand the legal compliance requirements, Section 25, not-for-profit trust, for-profit organization, hybrid. Where do I fit in? And we were trying to look for a really focused advisory service, which was not just writing papers and giving an umbrella, nahi, as a Section 8, this is what you need to do. Not something like that, but someone which was ready to pull it down to what was concerning me and understand my case and help me understand what I need to do to drive my cause. So very specific and particular. And someone who looked beyond just legal requirements, compliance, to the core of what compliance is. Because at the core, compliance is all intended towards making good things happen. Good or bad, the compliance laws, the intention is that good things need to happen, good things need to be checked, balanced, and monitored. The intention is quite crucial. And that's where Naushir's philosophy, which as he enunciated comes from the Tatas, comes from trusteeship of wealth. It's about how do you make good things happen and how do you enable those while then meeting all the externalities and requirements. And that's where CAP as an organization stood out way beyond other players I was looking at, where CAP was diving deep. CAP was looking at what was at the core rather than what was on the paper. CAP was not looking at retrofitting. CAP was looking at preemptive organizational structures that would fit going forward. And in all of that context, at least in my limited experience, I have not found anyone at par at CAP who can really help you look at that spectrum, not retrofit, but preempt and plan. So that's how I got associated with CAP.
So would you say it's proactive and also looks deep, looks at depth rather than just looking at it from a surface level? That would
Much deeper, but one word in all of that is CAP looks at it ethically, CAP looks at it emotionally, CAP looks at it from a value proposition perspective. Unlike a CA or unlike a legal compliance lawyer who will tick boxes and say this is good and not good, CAP goes and says this is good. But is this good for the people you are working for? If not, how do you change it to be compliant but at the same time? So CAP really looks at both, not just the end saying, am I ticking the box? CAP makes me question, is it good as an ecosystem? And that's where CAP is really out. So I think the other two things, what you said earlier, are something which can be found otherwise. But this value proposition or value-based approach is something which is very unique to CAP's DNA.
ethics-driven approach.
Ethics-driven approach is very unique to CAP's DNA, which comes from Rati, which comes from the Tatas, which comes from Naushir, which comes from Meher. You can see everyone imbibing those values. And that's where that individual composition of people makes CAP a unique organization.
That was 5 years ago, and you still maintain what you said.
I said it with equal passion. Like with Naushir is my first port of call for anything that comes. Whenever I'm in dilemma related to compliance, related to ethics, not only me, I used to work with Ashoka Fellows. I used to work with social entrepreneurs. I was a social entrepreneur myself. I advise about 7 NGOs, which are grassroots not-for-profit NGOs. 2 of them are actually here in the crowd because I told them they had to be here. If anybody needs anything around compliance and I have to work with them, I want them verified through CAP. Because if they've gone through CAP, I know they're going to look beyond just ticking the boxes.
It's like a vetting.
It's vetting, it's my second port of call, it's my assurance, it's my bouncing pad. So CAP is kind of that corner which you look upon whenever you're taking the next decision. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's where CAP is.
At the conference today,
Yeah,
you're going to be one of the panelists.
yes.
What are you hoping that you will be able to convey, and what are you hoping people will go away from?
So for me, today's conference, and again, like it's seen how impeccably it's managed, how the time is kept and everything. One thing, the reason I wanted to come on this panel as well was because this is one of those conferences, this is again not superficial, not being done because there's a trend of doing CSR conferences, but because they want to deeply dive and enable organizations to achieve certain depth in the work they do. So my panel is focusing mostly on partnerships. And for me, one of my biggest struggles as the head of CSR or sitting on the not-for-profit boards that I sit is to enable those partnerships. People don't realize value in partnerships. And my biggest experience sharing today is going to be around that. That why partner? What is partnerships? How do you create that enabling platform? And probably in the longer run, could CAP become that marriage maker of making those partnerships happen in the true sense.
The matchmaker?
I'll call it marriage maker. Matchmaker is easy job. Matching two people is very easy.
Right.
Enabling a marriage is ensuring that it crosses a threshold.
Right.
So that's when I'm saying it's a marriage maker.
Is that what you're hoping for CAP to be?
That's what CAP is for me. As in my process, when I send my not-for-profits to CAP, enable their systems to grow up so that I can work with them.
Right.
I just hope that that ecosystem can happen, and this is a very good germination point for it. When you see such an enthusiastic crowd here, full of not-for-profits, a few corporates, a few funders, it's a very germinating crowd. So my first comment to Meher as I stepped in was, Meher, as the next step, we need a compliance conference for corporates, and then we need to bring both of them in one room. So the next conference is a compliance conference for corporates, and then the third gathering is not-for-profits and corporates coming together and driving this forward.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.